A station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And coming up on DC News Now at noon, first he was fired and now he's indicted by a grand jury. The new legal troubles for former Loudoun County School Superintendent. And later, reconsidering semi-automatic weapons in Maryland, what advocates are saying. And good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Mark Hall. Meteorologist Damon Madsen joins us with the latest check on the forecast. And Damon, the sun is shining right now, but change is on the way.
That's right, Mark, no doubt about it. Today's a beautiful day, and hopefully we can get out and enjoy that, but there is a major change coming toward the end of the week. But let's go ahead, let's soak this up as long as we possibly can. Beautiful blue skies over D.C. right now, and pretty much the entire four-state region in DMV enjoying more of the same. Now, don't let it fool you. It may be sunny out there, and you can get those sunglasses out, enjoy the sunshine as much as you can, but be sure to still bundle up. After earlier this morning when we were down well into the 20s, we've recovered a bit, but it's still very chilly. Only 40 degrees in D.C., 41 Manassas, and then you'll find those mid to upper 30s through Frederick, Martinsburg, Hagerstown, and all the way back into the mountains of western Maryland in Cumberland. So yes, it is going to continue to still be a very chilly day out there, but it stays very sunny through the afternoon. At best, we'll reach those mid 40s closer to I-95 in the DC Metro, staying closer to about 40 degrees as you go back to the west. And this is the last time we're going to see this much sunshine as we head toward the end of the week, because we still have a very big storm system rolling its way toward us, and it's going to get here Wednesday night and last all the way through the day on Thursday, and there already is the potential of some pretty major ice accumulations back across western Maryland, West Virginia, and down along I-81 in northern Virginia. Hence, a winter storm watch has already been issued for some of these same locations, and we could potentially see this watch expanded. We are still tracking the latest with this system. What are those latest updates as we head into our Wednesday night and Thursday? We'll give you all of that coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. Developing now, two top officials for Loudoun County Schools will appear in court this afternoon. Virginia's Attorney General just unsealed grand jury indictments against them. DC News Now's Lex Juarez has an update on where things stand.
Former Superintendent Scott Ziegler and Public Information Officer Wade Byard are going to be in court today at 2 o'clock, both facing charges from the grand jury. Ziegler is facing 3 counts, one of false publication, prohibited conduct, and a third of penalizing an employee for a court appearance. The count of false publication references what the grand jury calls a bold-faced lie, when the former superintendent said he had no knowledge of any assaults in school bathrooms 1 month after one happened. Byard faces 1 count of felony perjury for lying under oath. He was placed on leave shortly after the indictment was unsealed on Monday. Parents call the indictments awesome, hoping they lead to more transparency from the school system.
They're going to help us keep knocking bricks out of the wall between LCPS and the moms and dads of Loudoun County.
Well, the school board is set to meet this afternoon, and on the agenda, they will be discussing the grand jury findings that were released early last week and ways to move forward from here. We will also have a reporter here at the courthouse bringing updates on what happens in the courtroom this afternoon. In Loudoun County, I'm Lex Juarez, DC News Now.
Thank you, Lex. Frederick County, Maryland public schools are drawing up a committee to decide what books should be banned from their libraries after parents raised concerns of a list of about 35 books that they want removed. Now, a group of 3 parents are battling against the school system to remove books they think are sexually explicit. The special committee will be made up of about 60 members, including teachers, community members, and students, who will have the chance to review books and make recommendations to the superintendent.
This will be a deliberate and very professional process, and I have a lot of faith that the committee members who have volunteered a lot of time to do this will approach it with seriousness.
The committee expected to meet from January until April before the superintendent will make the final decision on if any books should be removed. Well, happening now, semi-automatic weapons are currently banned in Maryland, but a federal appeals court is weighing whether that should change. Gun rights advocates want to overturn the ban, and they are pointing to a recent Supreme Court ruling striking down a concealed handgun requirement in New York. They say the Second Amendment gives law-abiding gun owners the right to use these weapons, but victims of the gun violence say they cannot, what would happen, they don't know what would happen if the ban is lifted in Maryland. DC News Now's Leonard N. Fleming heard from both sides. He has the story.
Assault rifle tells me that you want to kill somebody or you got a plan. That's the way I see it. Can't nobody say, I just want one to want one.
Daryl Hairston lost his son to gun violence in 2016. He walked inside of a store but did not make it out alive. Daryl Hairston II was shot in the head when the gunman fired shots at others and hit his son. Hairston supports a ban on assault weapons.
So imagine if he had an assault rifle. Every boy in the store would have been dead. He had a 9mm gun that he fired in the store, ricocheted, but it went through my son's head, causing 2 holes in my son's head.
Maryland's assault weapons ban was approved following the 2012 shooting that left 20 children and several adults dead at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. AR and AK-style weapons are currently banned, but the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit heard arguments last week. It upheld the ban in 2017, but the U.S. Supreme Court has opened the door for the ban to be overturned. Earl Brake, who owns EJB's gun shop in Capitol Heights, said the ban should go.
Why should the ban be lifted?
Mainly because it's their right to own a gun. If you don't want to own a gun, you don't have to buy a gun. So you should be able to buy any weapon that's legal to suit your purpose that you want to use it for hunting, self-defense, whatever the case may be.
Charlene Woodland, who lost her 13-year-old daughter in 2007 to a deadly robbery, doesn't agree.
Law enforcement, they don't even really use them like that. It's too much ammunition, that's too much power.
She says all states should ban these weapons.
Because what I've been through, I don't wish it on no other parent. And I've seen other cases, and it's something to stay with you for life.
Firearm deaths have been on the rise in Maryland from 2015 to 2019. According to gunpolicy.org, more than 700 people each year were killed in the state. It is unclear when the federal appeals court will rule on the case. In the studio, Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now.
Well, the D.C. Department of Motor Vehicles has started implementing a mandatory ignition interlock program for residents convicted of alcohol or drug-related driving offenses. People with a D.C. license that have been convicted of those offenses after December 19, 2022 will be required to enroll in the program. An alcohol analyzer will be connected to the driver's ignitions. Drivers need to enroll in the program within 30 days of their offense, and they will then receive a restricted driver's license and can only operate the designated vehicles with the interlock device installed. Now, if someone fails to register, their license will be revoked and their vehicle's registrations will be suspended. Well, the body of Grant Wahl, the American journalist who died while covering the World Cup, has been returned to the U.S. He was 49 years old. After reporting symptoms of bronchitis earlier in the week, Wahl collapsed in his seat at the Netherlands-Argentina game on Friday. His cause of death has not been revealed. The journalist is credited with helping grow soccer's popularity here in the U.S. Well, happening today, the man who allegedly killed a pregnant woman and a gas station store clerk is set to appear in court again to be arraigned on new charges. Tory Moore appeared in the court for the first time on Monday. He was held without bond in connection with the murder of a gas station employee in White Oak. A judge also set a competency hearing for him. During a search of Moore's apartment last week, police found the decomposing body of a pregnant woman. They say the 26-year-old woman was believed to be around 8 months pregnant at the time of her death. He's set to be arraigned on charges related to her death later today. A former Loudoun County priest will spend nearly a decade in jail after pleading guilty to sexually abusing a teenager 40 years ago. Prosecutors say the abuse happened back in 1985 while Scott Ascioli was working at St. Francis de Sales Catholic Church in Purcellville. Now, Ascioli was quietly removed from his parish in the 90s after the allegations were made against him. After his arrest 2 years ago, David Grosso, a D.C. council member at the time, came forward as a victim. And Ascioli will be sentenced in April. In a 3-0 vote, the D.C. Board of Elections ruled Councilmember Elisa Silverman did not misspend campaign funds. Last night's decision reverses an earlier ruling by the Office of Campaign Finance. The OCF issued its initial ruling 12 days before Election Day. It said Silverman misspent campaign dollars by conducting polls in a race she wasn't running in. Silverman says that she was using the polls to determine who to endorse in the race, which impacted her own campaign for her at-large seat. The Board of Elections agreed, saying the funds were used appropriately. Silverman was recently voted out of her seat and believes the initial ruling cost her the election.
I've really worked my heart out. So you do all that and you think voters will value this. And then to lose because an administrative body made an errant ruling that said that you broke the law and misspent public funds when you didn't do that, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, Silverman says it's not clear if there's any legal recourse she can take, but plans to investigate it further. Happening today, President Biden expected to sign the Respect for Marriage law into Marriage Act into law, protecting the right to marriage regardless of sex, race, ethnicity, or national origin. Legislation requires governments recognize same-sex and interracial marriages, even if the Supreme Court repeals the ruling which protects them. In Virginia, State Senator Jennifer McClellan is planning to make a major announcement. The Democrat expected to announce a campaign to fill the seat of late Representative Donald McEachin. Now, McClellan's announcement comes shortly after Governor Glenn Youngkin revealed a tight timeline in the special election. The timeline requires Democrats select a nominee by the primary vote 1 week from today.